You're listening to the Listing a Week podcast, a podcast that teaches real estate agents how to generate a listing a week and grow their business. My name is Todd Tramonte, and I'm a Dallas, Texas-based real estate broker, author, radio host, team leader, and real estate coach. And I'm sitting down with my team of agents to talk about how they generate a listing a week or more, the lessons they've learned, and how they differentiate in a noisy real estate industry, and how you can too. Welcome, folks. We are talking Listing a Week stuff here on the Listing a Week podcast. I got my buddy Ian with me. If you've been listening to the show for long, you know Ian Daniels. Yes, he's one of our team leads here, and he's in the trenches with us, generating listings as well as buyers and the whole business. But you know, we've had a lot of really good conversations on the podcast lately. We've had team members and other folks here in the office in the studio with us. We may have John Kanika join us today. He's one of our marketing specialists. We might not. But we've been really discussing kind of the full gamut of, you know, is lead generation the problem these days when it comes to generating listings? And we've discussed that really it's not. That's not to insult people, but it just isn't. You know, we've talked about once you get a bunch of listings, what does the management of that look like? Is it overwhelming to create a listing a week? Yeah. That kind of thing. We've talked about what it takes to convert to get those listings. And obviously these are conversations we can have over and over and over and over, and we will, and get into the nuance of things. We talked about the compelling reasons that we've got to offer someone in order to convert for them to do business with us. You can do a whole lot of technical things, but if you can't really give someone value and compel them to do business with you, it doesn't really matter. We talked about positioning and creating your authority and a whole bunch of other things. We've referenced writing books and having a clear presence online and all these different things that are relevant to, you know, generating a listing a week in your real estate business. But what I want to talk about this week is, why would you want to have a listing a week? What does a listing a week really mean? Do we mean 52 listings a year? Do we mean 40? What are we talking about there? And really at the root of that is, what are your goals? You know, so we have a lot of people reach out to us because we've, for whatever reason, you know, luckily mostly good, gained some recognition and notoriety within the industry as a company that has a system for getting and keeping and selling listings, and for that being a system that perpetuates itself with referrals and stuff. So let's back up for a second and we'll just say welcome to Ian.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? And let's just get into it. Let's just talk a little bit about that. I mean, people ask us how the heck we do this, and one of our first questions to them is not like, okay, how many do you want, or here's how to do it. It's what do you want? What do you want to build? Thoughts on, like, you got to have a goal before you achieve it.
Well, you got to have something in place too already, right? If you think about it, you're not going to go and draft a baseball player straight out of high school and go stick him on the major league roster to go and
Although I
pitch,
do remember
right?
Josh Beckett, when he was drafted, they said, what's your goal this year in single A? And he said to make the Major League All-Star game.
That is a great goal.
I was like,
but
amen.
The organization would not do that unless he actually performed.
And they didn't. He was incredible, but he didn't make it quite that
So my point is that, yeah, you have to have a goal. You have to have a vision of where you want to get to. But you also got to establish on the front end, like, what do I have in place to be able to actually get there, right? It's cool to say, I want to sell 50 houses this year. Mm-hmm. I want to sell 40 houses this year. Mm-hmm. If you've previously been selling 4 or 5, right, do you have the structure in place? And I'm not talking about team members, but I'm just talking about systems, organization, you know, other aspects of that. Do you have that stuff figured out, thought through, to be able to actually take on that many clients and give them the things we always talk about? World-class service, incredible value. And we talk about value beyond the sale. Like, do you have the framework in place to be able to do all of that?
You know, what I really like to do on the podcast here is kind of play the devil's advocate, right? So even if you don't have all of that, you can go and get a bunch of listings, but you'll wish you hadn't, right? You'll do a bad job. You'll get a bunch of bad reviews. They won't repeat. They won't refer, and you'll have made a mess in a bad way. Now, I talk a lot about how entrepreneurship is making a bunch of messes and only cleaning some of them up. Yeah. That's sort of the name of the game with small businesses. You try a lot of stuff, Some of them weren't worth your time. Some of them fail. Most of them fail. And then some of them work out. And if some of your stuff works out and you can do it, now you go back with systematically, consistently at a world-class level, then you can do really well, whether as an agent, team leader, broker, whatever. So,
well, the other risk of not having it all prepped right is you essentially just trying to dig yourself out of quicksand all the time. Like you're clawing yourself.
Right. You got a listing and now you have to figure out how to service it. You got 2, now you have to figure out how to service 2. You got 3, and now you're closing one. And if the service isn't
good, if their experience isn't high quality and they don't give you the referrals, it's not repeatable. You're searching all the time.
And you bring up a good point. We talk about mindset a lot on the show, and I think a lot of people, as a matter of fact, we've had coaching and consulting clients roll their eyes at us when we say you need to address mindset first. We can give you thousands of techniques and tools and tips. Here's a checklist, here's a script, here's a follow-up system, here's an ad, and none of that's going to matter if your head junk is in the way, if your limiting beliefs are in the way, if you have terrible habits, right? So
I was talking to a consulting client yesterday, Scott, and one of the things he said, he was down here recently for a mastermind with us, and since he's gone back, it's been about 2 weeks, he keeps talking about value. Are we adding value? Are we doing value? And he wasn't saying that word before, and he's had this change in mindset as to what to offer clients, and all of his team members are like, stop! Why are you still going on about this? We're doing everything we can. He goes, no, but are we giving them the right value? Is the value there? Is it like, and his team members are like, this is just a different way of thinking.
Right. And the funny thing is, it's annoying until it's amazing, right? It's hard work to change the way you think,
right.
You know? If you have defeating thoughts and that's your habit, it's hard work to, as the Bible says, take those thoughts captive, right? As self-help would say, catch those thoughts before they become things. I always love how self-help, when it's good, reflects God's word. But anyway, I didn't know that. That's fun to hear, especially live on air. But
I was laughing.
That's great stuff. And that's how this should work. When you start a new physical workout routine, it's like you've never been more sore than those first couple attempts at something really new. And this is why a lot of people quit too, right? Is they start something new from a business perspective and it's just awkward,
it's painful,
and clunky and inefficient, and you get pushback. It's not like his team members are like, no, we don't want to add value. They're like, dude, it's all we're talking about.
Well, the first thing that goes through your head is, I cannot go and do that again. Mm-hmm. Like for the workout piece, if you've gone and you've really done a hard workout, you've never done it before, you're working out all these muscles you've never worked on before, and you wake up, not the next day, but it's 2 days later, and 3 days later, and you're like, I cannot do this
and it's the same thing with that mental muscle. It's the same thing with the business deal. I mean, so you go back to your office after a great physical, local, in-person mastermind. You come to Texas, you have some good barbecue, you hang out in the office, you see some highly productive agents. You're on fire. You go back, and your people are like, oh my gosh, stop talking about that. Well, the second time you go get a great idea, maybe you try to push that by yourself without the team. The third time, maybe you don't, and then the fourth time, you don't even come back to get the idea. Right? So, for the sake of time, we wanted to do a little bit shorter episode today just so people could really get the juice out of it. And the root of what we're talking about is, why would you even want to put forth the effort to get to a listing a week? And, we always joke about that. We're serious, but we joke because that can mean whatever you want it to mean. It can mean 52 listings a year. It could mean 52 transactions a year. Maybe that's half and half buyers and sellers. Maybe you do some leases, whatever. But what it means is you can be in control and take, generally speaking, as many listings as you want or need. Now, if you're the kind of person, we were joking about the goals you set. If you say, I want 700 listings, well, that's going to take a whole different work ethic and strategy and budget and structure than 30. But we know that you can do one a week. As a matter of fact, you guys have, a lot of you that follow the show have heard Jeremy on the show, or you've seen him if you watch the videos of the show. We were talking to him the other day. He's been in the role on our team of taking listings for 7 months, and he's signed 32 listings, right? So that's more than one a week, obviously, right? And do you think he's going to do more than one a week next year when he's in his second year in the role? Yeah, probably like 2 or 3 a week, right? And as a team, we're doing way more than one a week because John's doing pretty similar to Jeremy, and other people on the team are doing that as well. So long story short, what we're not saying is get a listing a week, but not yet. You got to do all this prep work. That's not what we're talking about. We're saying you need to spend some time thinking and strategizing and planning and setting goals around what do you actually want. Do you want 30? Do you want 60? Do you want high end? Do you want anything you can get? Where do you want them to come from? And that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, let me say it this way too. You need to figure it out. Nobody else can figure out what that number is for you.
Right.
I remember Todd and I, we were sat and we were talking last year when we had this revelation of we can't want a number for a team member that they don't want themselves.
Yeah.
Right? We can't say, I really want you to go and hit 45 transactions this year if they're perfectly happy with 35.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what they can fit into their lives with their family, and the money's good and they have everything they need at 35 transactions. Well, that's awesome, right? We have to celebrate that fact. Mm-hmm. Now, for the person that's saying, I want to hit 45, I want to hit 50, 55, whatever that number is, perfect. This is a system which is going to work for you. If you apply it, if you actually work the system and use it all, this is going to work for you when it comes to that. But nobody else can figure that number out for you, figure out what your values are, what's important to you. You have to take time before you really dig into all of this to figure that out.
Yeah, and I think it, again, to be the devil's advocate and to remove the fear from people that are like, well, I'm back on my own again. You know, you're giving me these tips, you're offering me this help, but now I'm back to, you got to figure it out on your own.
To be clear, too, he's not calling me the devil.
Right, I'm not. Not today. But what I am saying, though, is you can get help with this. But this is good news. This isn't bad news. Like, you need to go back and figure this out. This means you get to choose what you want. Don't just mimic someone else. Don't say, oh, the best agents do 100 deals a year. No, I've got coaching, consulting clients. We're building them a business based on 30 a year because why do 100 if 30 gives you the life you want to live?
The first module that we talk about is mindset. Within that mindset module, there are worksheets to help you figure out what a business plan looks like in the very, very simplest of forms to help you think and establish and decide, like, what's important to me. Like, it's all there for you to help you with that.
And what Ian's talking about is we call it the listing a week system, that every one of our new team members goes through that training. Now, we do offer that as a resource, to anyone listening or anybody else or coaching, consulting clients. There's no hard pitch on that, but if you want more information like that, just bounce over to alistingaweek.com, alistingaweek.com. You can actually get a free video series of me interviewing 7 amazing real estate leaders on what they would do to get a listing a week. That's 100% free. There's no credit card or anything needed. Just put in an email, we'll send it to you. Then if you're interested in what Ian's talking about, the system that we created for our team, then obviously you can spend some money to get that. We have now offered that for, 5-6 years now to agents all over North America, and they've had incredible results with it. They're in our coaching groups, or they maybe do some private coaching with me, and that's where we're digging deep, and we're really scaling this in their business, plus the buyer side of the business. We actually have a whole buyer a week system in our operations modules and all those things. So there's no hard pitch on that, but what Ian's talking about is the first thing we do with our team members when they come on, or with coaching or consulting clients, is we talk about this, the mindset. And it's not this broad spectrum of mindset. It's really, what do you want? Now, we can help people come to that conclusion, but we're helping them make the decision for themselves. And that's what Ian's saying, is it's a decision for you to make. Now, you can get, those worksheets will help you make those decisions.
Yeah.
A coach or a coaching group or just a accountability partner or someone who encourages and challenges you or someone to compete with can help you decide that too. But no one can make that decision about what's best for you in your life better than you. And that was kind of my whole point today, is before you get into all the tools and techniques and all the benefits and the results of having a listing a week, you do need to decide, what does that mean for you? Does that mean 52 listings this year? Does that mean 50 total closings this year? Does that mean 25 total closings? Does that mean $200,000 in income? Does that mean $40,000 more in income because you're helping an elderly parent go through a really, really rough spot, or you're parenting, 3 foster kiddos with a ton of that's a beautiful thing. There's no judgment about dollars earned or deals done. Our industry is so drowning in trophies that don't matter. We don't care about any of that. So you do need to decide up front, what do I actually want to get out of this? And what what number of listings or transactions correlates to that, then you can start to implement the tools, the techniques, the scripts, the strategies, the other mindset stuff, the modules, or whatever you want to do to really go and achieve that. And we obviously believe that you can achieve just about anything you want to in this realm of getting listings and building your business. So anyway, hopefully this conversation was really valuable for you. Any final thoughts on that, Ian?
No.
Nothing else to add? Mason, anything over there? Producer Mason? Oh, he still doesn't have a microphone.
Almost has a microphone.
No one gave him a microphone.
See
okay, anyway, he's very disgruntled. It's not on film or audio because we have not allowed him to be on film or audio. But anyway, if you'd like some free resources, head over to alistingaweek.com. alistingaweek.com. You can get some free videos. Of course, you can get some access to some paid stuff if you're interested in that kind of thing. If not, circle back, download these episodes, subscribe to the podcast, make sure you're tuning in, share this with anybody it would be valuable for you, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Over and out.
Cheerio.